Hi muckers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So it has come to my attention that Trisha uploaded a response to Swip's video, the part 3 documentary. And by the way, I have always made fun of people like Shane Dawson who upload, vlogs on YouTube and they're like, oh, this is my documentary. I think with Swip, it's entirely rational and valid to call what Swip is doing a documentary. Chat, do we agree or not? Like, Shane Dawson posting vlogs that are just unedited is not a documentary, but what Swip is doing, in my opinion, is a documentary. And someone was like, why are you calling what Swip is doing a documentary, but then making fun of Shane Dawson for calling it a documentary? And I'm like, if you cannot tell the difference between them two, oh, like, that's on you, babe. But anyway, Trisha responded to Swip's documentary, part 3, and I have not seen it yet. But I do know as well, we're going to be watching eventually. Trisha's going to be going live later on her Just Trish podcast, which seems to be going down really well. The Colleen Ballinger drama keeps getting worse. Swip reaction. So I guess this is her in the moment take, and then this is going to be like a more thought out one. I have no idea what to expect. We're going to be watching this on 1.25x speed. So if you watch my videos sped up, that's how I watch YouTube videos. I would probably slow it down a little bit because you will not understand what is going on. All right, let's get into what Trishy Fishy has to say.
Hey guys, good morning. You guys are having a great Sunday and a great weekend wherever you guys are. I'm in LA, or a little outside of LA, and supposedly we're supposed to be getting a hurricane today. It looks like it dropped down.
Katrina.
That's the weather, but I feel like it's dropped down. I think my husband told me to I don't know what any of this means. It was yellow yesterday and now it's not. I think we're just gonna get maybe rain, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I know hurricanes are devastating. I've been seeing it all over TikTok, and so I know they're very devastating, especially to people in the south, in Florida, that get hit by them or affected, or Louisiana, all those states down there, Texas. So I'm just, I'm hoping Hurricane Hillary passes and everyone who does get affected by it stays safe. It looks like it's tempering off, hopefully. But yeah, we kind of had preparation. I actually took all
Weather woman Trish.
We have leaks in our house. Another reason why, you guys know I rented for so long, and I was shamed for renting for my house.
I rent.
Friends, people even, oh my god, will you still rent? And it's like, there's
Jeffree Star, just giving a little shady shout out to there. Hi Jeffrey, hope you're well.
So many more expenses and problems with being a homeowner. Obviously, it's a great investment. Obviously, real estate goes up. So I'm not saying don't buy, but me as a single person for most of my life, I don't think I could have operated my household and held my sanity together, because there's always stuff happening. There's leaks and there's fixes, and then there's just a lot of stuff with owning a house. And again, I'm grateful. My husband and I bought this house together. We had basically all our savings put together for this house, and just there's a lot of maintenance, and there's leaks in the house. There always leaks right there. So I kind of moved. That's usually where I keep my clothes for my podcast. So I've really struggled. If I'm being 100% honest, I've really struggled this summer. There is a lot of guilt that I feel. There's a lot of just guilt and shame that I feel that I had a part in somehow traumatizing people, minors that were involved, because of my work as a sex worker that I put out.
No. Okay. Speaking as the minor that she is referring to there, Trish, was never the case. Never the case. Never once did it ever cross my mind that Trisha Paytas is responsible for this happening. And never once did it cross my mind that you had any involvement in it, or that even when you find out, that any responsibility would fall on your shoulders. So Trish, as the person that you are speaking about right now, I know it's very much so easy for me to be like, I hope you're not, taking that on. I'm completely aware of that. But I hope maybe it's some validation that this is not on you at all. This is something that you have to process. This is something you are a victim in. You know what I mean? This is not a case of you feeling guilt or shame, for almost a level of responsibility, because there's no responsibility, because if screenshots weren't posted, we hadn't talked about it, you wouldn't even know. This is not something you've done. It's something that was done to you as well in the same retrospect. It's not your fault in any way.
Online, I just started therapy. I talked about this. I don't know maybe I talked about this in a video. I can't remember where I talked about this, but I just talked about this, and I started therapy because I felt a lot of things. One, I felt guilt not being able to get pregnant. I felt guilt about my work as a sex worker, and now how it's eating predatory behavior, criminal behavior, that because of these images that I put out and produced as an adult, as a sex worker, have now traumatized children.
Okay, but you put them up on a website in which allows that behind a paywall. It's not up to you if that gets evaded by someone else. You know what I mean? It's not... The responsibility never once and never will fall on Trisha Paytas for her ex-best friend going behind the paywall and getting these photos or videos or whatever and weaponizing them against her behind her back. Because that's what it was, behind your back. It bothers me so much that Trisha has apologized to me, because this is not something Trisha has to apologize to me for, and Colleen hasn't even addressed it, but she's addressed it to Trisha and acknowledged that it happened, but hasn't to any of the people she did it to, which is therefore leading more almost pressure on Trisha's shoulders because Colleen's confirming it to her but not confirming it publicly or to us. It's like Colleen's purposely putting a lot of this on Trisha, because again, then it doesn't have to fall on Colleen.
Of course, allegedly unsolicited to minors. The only confirmation I did get was from Johnny Silvestri posting them, Colleen sending me an apology after apologizing for partaking in those conversations.
I didn't get an apology.
I also just assumed that she was just talking about those conversations with Johnny because they were very clearly from her.
I cannot believe that Trisha got an apology and I haven't even got an acknowledgement. Like, it bothers me so much on a personal level because Trisha does deserve an apology from Colleen, and I'm glad she got it. But I also deserve one. And that's all I wanted from the start. Remember, I did that tweet and I was like, Colleen Ballinger and Corey, issue an apology to me and I'll stop talking about what happened to me. I can't even get that.
Her friend did the thing. She admits to it.
And that's it. She admitted to it. She admitted to it.
Yeah, there was a lot of guilt I felt with that because once again, my nudes appeared to be unsolicited to this guy who worked for her, Johnny, who was an adult but looked like he didn't ask for them. It's a huge issue. Sending any sort of pornographic images to minors is a crime. It's illegal.
Yep.
I of course believe Adam, but right now it's alleged because there's no, he didn't release photo statements for whatever reason. Maybe he doesn't have them. There was a long time. I don't know. And there's a lot. This is all a lot. This is all a lot. For again, my heart goes out to Adam. I've sent him a private email. He knows. I mean, I still have him blocked. There's a reason. Like him and I don't communicate.
I don't think she has me blocked. Hold on. Let me check. Sorry, it's just me. Let me check. Girl, you don't have me blocked. Okay. I mean, thank you for unblocking me.
And that has nothing to do with Colleen at all. It's, obviously he's made a lot of videos about me and my family and stuff like that that I can't see, that it's just hard for me to see. And that goes for a lot of people. There's a lot of videos out there about me that's just hard for me to see. People have every right to make videos about me. They have every right to have an opinion about me. And apparently a lot of people can just make stuff up too. And at this point, you're like, it's just part of the territory. But this is the stuff that he has confirmed, Adam, is very, very...
She'll reblock you now. No, Trisha! Don't! Please! Me and Trisha made such good personal progress on our email. Trisha, don't, please! I mean, do what you want, but...
Disgusting behavior. I don't think any grown person, I'm going to reiterate, I don't think any adult, any grown person of any age should be hanging out, going to lunch with a minor. I think it is manipulative. A lot of people throw around the word grooming, and there's something wrong.
Can I say something I haven't said before? In 2020, I never once said the word grooming, and I only said the word grooming in 2023, and it took me like 3 years of trying to understand what that word meant before I wanted to attach myself to it, because it's a very serious word. And isn't it ironic that the one person in all of this story who never attached themselves to the word grooming from the start was me? Yet when Johnny or Cody came forward in 2023, the first thing they said was, I was groomed and I have proof. But for me, I never once said that I was groomed until 3 years later, whenever I found out what that word means, because it's a heavy word not to throw around. But then everyone else, how big or small their story was, and for Cody and Johnny this size, it was I was groomed, because it was a hot buzzword, which is disgusting.
wrong with that person, someone in their 30s going and having these conversations. It's more than just inappropriate conversations. Like it's there's something there's
Yeah,
something
to
unwell about that,
weaponize
there's
it.
unwell about that dynamic, and I don't support that at all. So again, aside from my photos being involved allegedly between Adam and Colleen, like there are clear behavioral patterns that are just like absolutely disgusting. The tampering of evidence of her live, saying that like he asked for them when she initiated all of that stuff is out there and it's proven, and I of course stand with Adam on that. So regardless, I don't
I
say,
appreciate
by the
that.
way, I don't say that like I don't, me and Adam don't converse, because I'm not trying to like any sort of thing about his character. Again, like, I guess he'd be considered like Trauma Channel, News Channel. I don't know.
She says this every time she talks about this topic, like the same statement. It's like the same thing each time. I mean, I understand why she's saying it. I respect it, but
Podcast, entertainment channel, something, where he just gossips about people, like public figures. Again, it's totally fine. I have a podcast where I talk about public figures, So I say that more to just maybe show how unbiased I am in this, where
I mean, that's a good point as well. That's the first time she's like said that connotation with it, which I understand. Is that she's saying, the reason I'm saying it is to show that I'm actually like unbiased. Like if anything, I would kind of be against Adam here, and I still believe Adam. And I think that that's an interesting perspective on it. And again, Trish, I really do appreciate it. I mean, beyond words, I actually can't put it into words. I really do. I really do.
I think in the past you'd be like, oh, like I don't want to hear anything about Adam McIntyre. Like I fully support and stand by him in this situation, because I think it's
appreciate
absolutely
that.
disgusting. It's something that like I go to bed crying about. I have gone to bed crying about this summer. Like it actually, like how I didn't see this, how I didn't, all of this stuff, And I also have to clarify really quick, and then I'm going to get to the soup video. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to make this short. I also have to clarify really quick, because I think I heard Adam saying this in a video where I still went ahead and filmed a podcast.
What'd I say? Oh, it's about me saying that she still filmed the podcast episode with Colleen after I posted my video in 2023 and the news was talking about it. And I still think that's whatever she's going to say now, I will listen to it, because this is obviously her response. My criticism of Trish, and, two things can be true at once. I can say, thank you so much. And I can also say, this still bothers me. And what I said was that the media were talking about my 2023 video. Cody had came out, Johnny had already came out, everyone had already came out. And Trisha told, that she had filmed a podcast episode with Colleen, a few days after the big media storm of it. And I had a big issue with it, because I just was like, okay, everything was already out there for 3 years, and then everything was out there really intensely in the media. She wasn't even posting on her Instagram because like she was so shunned from the media, and you still chose to invite her over to your house out of being friends with her to platform her on a podcast. And that to this day still bothers me. So I want to hear what her response is to this.
The last podcast episode with Colleen after all this stuff came out.
I think she's probably just going to say like she doesn't look on social media, or she isn't aware of drama or something. And that's I guess, an easy way out. And I'm not saying this to discredit this sentence. She's going to say it all. She may say something completely different. I'm just assuming she's going to say, I really stay away from drama and I've evolved and, all this different things. But one thing I do want to say is, and I don't mean to continuously have like a back and forth, because me and Trisha agree on this, but I would be lying to you if I say that this doesn't bother me. Colleen and Trisha not only filmed an episode after everything came out in 2023, and it had already been out, by the way, and the media were talking about it, and Colleen wasn't posting on social media, so Trisha knew that Colleen wasn't talking on social media for like a week or so anyway, because of the backlash. And Adam's predictions stay right. Is that what she says? Colleen literally was silent on social media because of everything, and Trisha still chose to come over and platform her. And above anything else, it bothered me that they were premiering their podcast. I think they premiered their last episode, and in the moment I posted about it, there was their live chat, like the premiere live chat, were like, justice for Adam, address Adam, Trisha, why are you still talking to Colleen? And Moses or Trisha or both of them were deleting every single comment. They were deleting any comment that had to do with Adam, with Colleen, with anything. And I'm aware Trisha said time and time again, she, has her issues with me and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you were actively silencing everyone who was telling you about this. So if she sits here and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude here, but if she sits here and says that she stays away from drama and stuff, it's Okay, I'm gonna hold myself back a little bit because I'm trying to be as sympathetic as possible, but it bothers me. It bothers me because it's not true. It's not true. And Trisha, I really respect you in this. And I really, 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 I'm so sorry for what happened to you. And I'm 100% on your side with this beyond fucking words. But if I don't know what you're going to say, but Chad have told me, we're going to see. If you sit here and say that you stay away from drama and you have a new life and stuff like this, which is what I think you're going to say. I have not watched this video yet. I'm going to call your bullshit, and it's really going to piss me off because in your live chat, people were asking you about it and telling you about it, and you and Moses or whoever was blocking people, deleting comments, and it's not true if this is what you're going to say. And then after that, you still chose to film another episode with her. So again, I don't mean to sound rude here, but it really is like selective hearing. I'm trying to be as... because we agree on this. I'm on Trisha's side. Like, I'm so sorry for what happened to her. And I, from the fucking bottom of my heart, I mean that. Because I know how it feels. But...
I like went to go look at the date. I think it was like June 5th. Because I was like looking at all this. I think June 5th is when we filmed the last one. I want to say those initial videos came out June 2nd, June 3rd. You could correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know the person who came out that first video saying like, you know, I don't know, whatever the video was that like, it was something like I lied, or it was something that like, the initial video that started all this, I don't know the person's name, basically like I lied on Colleen's behalf, or this was what's happening, or behind the scenes, something that like kind of made it look like, or confirmed that Colleen was like on the attack of Adam. Adam made the video like I was worried about Colleen. I believe that was June 3rd. And then we filmed our podcast. It was a Monday. It was like June 5th or something. And I wrote this to Adam. I thought I clarified in the email, and if not, I'm just gonna clarify this publicly. You know, I had no idea. I really, really do try to stay offline as much as I can. I read comments that my husband monitors. So like I rarely go on Twitter because he doesn't moderate those comments. But on my YouTube channels, they are moderated for my own mental health on my own channels. Like I said, on anyone else's channels, they can say whatever, and they do say whatever. I go on podcasts, I go on this, you know, people can say whatever they want about me. But in my socials, I do try to moderate because I like to read my comments. I don't have a moderator on TikTok. They're relatively nice on TikTok to me. And I don't have a moderator on Instagram. They're relatively nice to me there as well. But YouTube, I do. So, but I can't Google myself anymore on YouTube. I used to, like, even to type in my own channel, like Blonde Sundell 4MJ, like it just comes up and like titles would trigger me. There was something, oh my God, just recently there was, and I was so unaware of it at the time. I don't know what it was, but titles would just like trigger me. So I can't look at anything about myself, much less about someone else. And I said this time and time again, like, you know, Colleen and I were like surface level friends before I became a mom. And I mean that like we maybe hung out like a few times to film videos. I always like got along with her. I always thought of her as like this wholesome person. I've always said this. I didn't know much about her character. I didn't know like her Miranda character. I didn't know much about like her really. We never hung out on like extended periods of time for me to think anything of her, bad or good. And I wouldn't think that she would think that of me either, because we just never hung out that extended period of time. So once again, the shock of finding all this out is like very, very shocking, and like probably definitely the most twisted like events I've ever had with someone that I was acquainted with on YouTube ever. Like of all the shocking turns and twists my life I was taken as a social media influencer, like this was the most shocking to me. Like one, I never thought of her as this way, like having an ill opinion of me at all, the body shaming, all this stuff like that. I was just like, never would have thought, much less her like going in and taking my content and sending like unsolicited nudes, like, which by the way, once again, Colleen is very much in the wrong in this situation.
It's not that she wasn't looking for the stuff. They were banning, deleting comments, timing people out that were, you know, Moses was silencing anyone. And Moses, dare I say, was, okay, if we're going to go down this angle, Trish, and I'm so sorry, but this really bothers me, then Moses was keeping the truth from you. Then Moses was like, you know what I mean? If this is the angle, if the angle is, and I'm sorry, I am going to harp on about it because it really bothers me. it is staying ignorant. It is staying ignorant. She was filming episodes with her, posting the episodes, and Moses was deleting every single comment that addressed my name, addressed Colleen, addressed whatever. So then, Trisha, if that is true, then why was Moses keeping that from you? Why was Moses banning people that were mentioning my name? Why was Moses deleting any word of what was happening between me and Colleen? Either someone is not telling the truth here, and I wouldn't have an issue with it if you didn't keep bringing it up, because you're bringing it up as a defense of yourself. And there's no need to defend yourself here. Listen, I would just rather you say, I didn't care about it, and the podcast was doing well, because it's the one thing. Trisha, I am so deeply on your side, you have no fucking idea. But it is rewriting history. It is rewriting history. Literally anyone that mentioned my name in her chat was getting deleted or banned for a very long time. And then she filmed the episode with Colleen. You know what I mean? So my chat are saying they believe Trisha. So then it's Moses. But who told Moses who told Moses that the mention of Adam or the mention of Colleen grooming or whatever need to be like, who's not telling the truth here? And why do we need to be lying about this? Why do we need to be? Why can't we just sit and be like, didn't care about it. Podcast with Colleen was doing well. Cancel culture is its own thing. I would even be fine with that. So people are saying Colleen told Moses. Okay, so Trisha is not involved in any of these conversations then? Like, I would much rather her say I was just protecting my friend than her be like, no, I didn't see anything. And it never crossed paths to me or whatever. You were banning and deleting anyone that mentioned it. And I'm so sorry, but the more you bring it up, the more it's bothering me and I'm responding to it. I wouldn't have even brought this up if you had not said this right now. Trisha, again, I'm not going to be a broken record. It's the last time I'm going to say it. Overwhelmingly on your side here, and I think my audience know that. What happened to you is so fucking wrong, and you're so brave for speaking up, and you didn't have to speak up. You could have just, delete the podcast and never speak on this again. And you speaking up has done so much wonders for my mental health and validating me, and I'm so beyond fucking grateful for you. You have no idea about that. But I just don't like the rewriting of history, because for a very long time, Moses or you or some... Whoa! Oh my god, that scared the living shit out of me! Oh my god! Her life thing. Oh my god! That. Oh my god! That. That was so scary! That was so scary! Oh my god! Oh my god, and it's so loud in my ears as well! Oh my fucking god! That was so scary. Oh my god, my heart is going. My heart is going. I don't even know what point I was saying. Okay, had to cut, but I'm back. Whoever it was, Moses or someone, was not hiding it from you, but they were silencing people who were speaking about this, and then you chose to film a podcast episode with her. And the more you bring it up, the more I'm going to say that, and the more it bothers me. And I'm allowed to be bothered by it, and you're allowed to have your opinion of it, because for the most part, I think we're in agreement here.
Dynamic, she is the entertainer, and there's these fans that look up to her, and as Johnny says, wants to seem cool or whatever. So I do. There's that, but I have to make this video. There's just so much. We were going to talk about this on the podcast. We film on Mondays and Wednesdays to air Tuesdays and Thursdays. So tomorrow was a hot topic sort of things. And we were going to talk about the soup video. And, just one more time to clarify. So that last episode we filmed, I did not see anything at all. And even when I started seeing stuff after, because we were supposed to film again, and I'm like, okay, I started seeing stuff, and I was like, I kept putting a pause, right? At first I was like, okay, again, a week later, when I started seeing more and more stuff come out, I'm like, okay, let me, my first reaction as an influencer, as someone who's gone through it, is and I'm just being honest about this, my first reaction is okay, there's this hate mob right now, it can't be that serious. Again, completely unaware of any of the allegations. I wasn't aware of Adam's original video. I don't know when it was posted, 2020, 2018. I'm not sure when his original.
You won't if Moses is blocking every single person that brings it up in your live streams. Yeah. Either Trisha's lying or Moses was hiding everything from her.
One was posted or the follow-up. I'm just like figuring all this out now. I saw something that Colleen posted, video May 2020. I'm doing, I'm just in my own world doing OF. Like I'm not even on like YouTube like that. So completely in my own world. If you know summer 2020, you know. But so I'm just like unaware of all of this, like truly, like, you know, to a fault. When I started my podcast with Colleen, you know, I was very honest with her. And say like, hey, just so you know, like I have a Reddit that hates me, that really tries to destroy anything I try to do, and anything. And sometimes they succeed and sometimes they don't. And I'm just letting you know. So it's very upfront to like let her know, as I am with everybody, by the way, every podcast, every collaborator. And now I try not to, because I try not to just put that bad energy out there. But I think when you're going into business with someone like a podcast, right, we did all the expenses up front, but I still wanted her to know, like, hey, like, you know, just be prepared because this happens. You know, there's a lot of hate about me, and I'm not all of it is unwarranted. Some of it is, obviously there's the extremes, but not all. So I just, you know, I try to tell everybody up front, everyone I work with, like I said, especially going into business with someone. Again, we upfronted all the costs for like obviously the sets and everything, which is, you know, I took that on. That's fine. And I thought maybe like with
hold on, just give me a moment. Give me a moment.
Started,
right?
To get the ball rolling.
Oh, sorry.
And then once the ball's rolling, like,
look at
like,
this.
Like,
You'll watch in real time how the comments about Adam got deleted.
Never happened. It probably it's not gonna happen. We'll never do.
And she didn't know.
Yeah, it took me a minute to get going on this because I didn't
just
know either.
watch.
I was like, okay, is this like, am I gonna like get excited and then it's not gonna happen?
Any mention of Adam immediately deleted.
Like a stupid person, and I'm just like, oh my god.
But you just didn't see it. Either Moses or you was deleting any mention of me on your thing with Colleen.
You know,
just I'm gonna let it play.
I'll watch a TV show and I'll be like, and I'll literally say to Moses, and he'll understand. I'm like, why am I not on the show? Like, I'll watch you. We just like binge watch all the 4 seasons.
Stop deleting comments. Justice for Adam. Watch as that one will get deleted in a second.
Because he thinks I can be.
As he should.
Deleted.
He's
wait.
Like, you will be. You will do this.
As he should.
Wait. Deleted.
That's how he should be.
He said if Brad Pitt saw you, because I think he would be in love with you. I was like, wow.
Why wouldn't he be? I love
all of their comments are about this.
Partner,
all of them are getting deleted.
He should be so delusionally in love with you. Like that's like what you want. You want someone to be like, yeah, you can.
Yeah, it's kind of everything. It's kind of great. But sometimes I really do think that when I watch shows, I'm like, oh, I should be on this show. But
yeah, you should. I've
never acted a day in my life professionally on anything, so I don't know why.
I don't. Well, you've been on every show on the planet, so like, why not? But like,
every fucking comment is getting deleted.
From like, oh, I should like Schmigadoon. I was like, I want to be on this show.
But that's realistic.
Deleted.
You're like a trained voice actor.
It's not realistic. Like, why should I? Like, so many people work so hard and
you've been on TV shows
and done so many things that like, why would I just?
Trisha, how do you feel about Colleen being a grimmer? Watch as this one will get deleted.
I feel like someone who hasn't been on Broadway. Those are all Broadway actors.
Oh, is it already gone? Already gone. It does bother me. It bothers me. Because it's not telling the truth. There's no reason for her not to be telling the truth here.
I at the time, I didn't have any like sort of knowledge with podcasting, like doing my own. My first individual podcast was with a podcast company, but that was in 2019. So I had a manager at the time, so I didn't know.
Moses is her mod, yeah.
Like her podcasting company, and initially she was like, yeah. And then when I told her that, I guess she told them, and they were like uncomfortable with it. So we ended up not, as you guys know, we didn't have any like sponsorships for the podcast or stuff like that. So yeah, basically I thought like, you know, I'll like set up the costs and set up the set and stuff, and like she'll take care of that. And it doesn't work out, and that's fine. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I get that because I work with a lot of companies, and I do have to tell them up front, you know, this sort of thing happens. Again, some companies are okay with it.
Someone said Corey was there too. Yeah, but Trisha and Moses ran the channel, so it was Moses doing it. So Das, my mod, said Moses was doing it. So either he's doing it without her knowing, which is fucked up, or they're both lying.
Just something I have to deal with. It's something that comes along with.
And it's not 1 or 2 comments. It's like every comment. And by the way, it was a premiere, which means people are saying Trisha couldn't have deleted them. She was on the live stream. It wasn't a live stream. It was a live showing of the video, which is a premiere, which means that Trisha could have been the one doing it, but it was Moses talking with people because most people were like, Moses, delete more comments. Like this one's mentioned. So that's what was happening. It just bothers me. I'm going to be honest. It's not a case of Trisha needs to speak out, but it's a case of you were continuously going out of your way to like platform these videos and then deleting every single like response. And maybe it is just Moses doing it and he wasn't telling Trisha, and that's fucked up. Because why are you then having your wife sit down with this woman even more and post these I don't know.
My past, you know what I mean? It's I don't know. It is what it is, right? You just keep pushing forward.
It is what it is.
We just post on YouTube, that's it. Whatever. So this is like a whole long thing. So I was very upfront. This is what it says about me, this whatever. And so like again, I was blindsided by all this because like she'd be like, yeah, I have a lot of hate and a lot of this. And I'm like, why? Like you seem unproblematic. And like truly I always thought that about her. And it was always like there was like two things she would mention, but like I didn't know like this part at all. And of course, like not to the extent. And once again, to go back, like, you know, I'm
also sorry. So for how much Trisha talks about like me and hers history, right? You're telling me that Colleen Ballinger, who dealt with the cancellation, if you will, in 2020 because of Adam McIntyre, and Trisha Paytas, who doesn't like Adam McIntyre, you're telling me they never spoke about me. This isn't a case of me being like, oh, they were talking about me. You're telling me that Colleen Ballinger, who despises Adam McIntyre, and Trisha Paytas, who hates Adam McIntyre, never once spoke about me? Please. 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 Please.
I'm an influencer. I've dealt with these people, so I'm just like, okay, I know there are stuff that has been completely made up. Like I said, there's stuff that's completely warranted, and then there's stuff completely made up about just a lot of things, you know, and people's opinions too. People calling my daughter a prop, or you know, there's lies.
And no, it wasn't auto-modded for Sister Honey who said that, because some messages would last up longer than other ones, and then Moses would clarify, haters back off, because he would then come in and do other ones quicker than others. Just be honest.
And I've shown my daughter in her diaper, which I never have, you know, so there's in my head, I'm like, okay, people can twist things and then it runs as facts and, you know, and it becomes exaggerated. So I didn't know, I didn't get the severity of the situation. I didn't grasp it. And anyone who knows me knows I've talked about at length that I do not support any adult talking to a minor ever. Like we just talked about this on my Dr. Drew podcast. You know, there's a difference of being, of course, friendly and cordial. Maybe you're working with someone. There's times obviously when you can be friendly, but I think anyone who's like friends or hangs out or invites minors to their party, even if they're 17, I've been an advocate on this on so many levels. I was, you know, part of a group that
Jason Nash and David Dobrik,
17-year-old dating, you know, someone in their 20s, and I was like, no, I talked about the story time and time again when, you know, there was an influencer who was 17 that was part of this group and came to the house, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable with a 17-year-old being up in my apartment. Like, there's just so many things, much less a 14-year-old, you know, Adam McIntyre. Like, I can't even fathom, like, meet up with us and the whole thing. Like, there's so much to it. There's so much to the story that I physically can't even stomach, can't even take. So that all was happening. I'm trying to figure all this out. I'm trying to figure out, like, what. And again, me talking to Colleen at the time, I was just like, I didn't know the full situation. I also don't want anyone to ever like hurt themselves or something like that. So I'm just trying to figure it all out and like how to like cut this off, right? This thing that we have, because, you know, after a while I was like, okay, let's plan another podcast. Let's do another podcast. I'm just like, okay, that's clearly not going to happen. How do I do this? And, you know, again, trying to figure out like all the facts the best that I could that was out there. And again, pretty quickly I did, when I saw this information coming out, period, the stuff with quickly, it didn't take me long, but quickly I was like, this is something I can't support. Like, I can, you know, forgive a lot of things in the past for being stupid, whatever, but it's like when you're a grown person in their 30s, you just have a child, you're still participating in this, like there's okay, you know what I mean? So it was a lot to take in. And I did make my video after Johnny tweeted those pictures, so that brings me to what I wanted to speak about today. And this is meant to be short and concise to the point, because this is another reason why Soup in her video a lot talks about like her and her team, like, you know, like what they've come to concluded. And I think that's like a really like important part to talking about sensitive situations. So I originally was like, I'm gonna talk about this on the podcast because I have a producer, Oscar, who's very, very articulate.
Oscar's really good.
Presents all these sides to me because I'm very emotional. I have a personality disorder. I react very aggressively where I have to like take a minute, you know, especially when I saw the Soup video, I had to take a minute. I think I saw it Thursday when it came out. I was driving back, and so I had to like take a minute. I followed Swoop, and then, you know, I also have this thing where I feel to anyone, to Adam in this situation, to, you know, Swoop, to anyone who does like videos about public figures or, you know, mishaps or missteps or whatever. I never ever want it to come across as I'm like befriending someone or on someone's side. It's like, oh, well, they just, you know, to make it seem like I want them to talk nice about me. You know, you know, there's been a few people who I genuinely like have reached out to in the past when I used to get like a ton of hate that, you know, that I thought were pretty fair. Paige Christie comes to mind where she's like, you know, Trisha's bad, but also like this isn't right, you know, where they kind of, I wouldn't say defend me, but just not show all sides, because there are times I'm in the wrong and there are times when it's like kind of balance sided with something that goes down and people only like to show me like down here and whatever. So sometimes I appreciate that. There's another one named Niche that I reached out to, but again, I never want to like really go there because I don't want to ever. I've had friendships before with channels like this, and then it gets twisted around that like I'm trying to like use them. So I'm very like careful and sensitive now that I'm like that's because that's never been my intention. I've been friends. There was a drama channel back in the day. I don't know what happened to him. I hope he's okay. I'm going on a tangent here, but that I befriended because this was 2012 or something. I just befriended. I came to a meetup in New York. And, you know, but then they come to LA, and if I'm just not a person that hangs out in general. If I didn't want to hang out, then.
Is this that story? Remember, what was that story? What was that story of that? What was that person's name? I forget. No. Oh, is it Nick Icado? Oh, I thought it was the one who was like really obsessed with her. Yes. I thought that's who she was talking about. Yeah, Daniel or something. Not Dakota. Yeah, Daniel something. I mean, his second name doesn't matter.
And they turn.
Yeah, her like this the
turn, and it's like okay, like
that
I'm
one.
Just, you know, straight up, I'm just not a good friend. Period. I like to isolate in my house. Like I don't hang out ever. Even with people like I consider friends. I mean, there was like a couple years, I guess in my early 20s, where I had like a friend group that I hang out. But I'm really just not a hangout kind of person, especially if it's like, I don't know, I've never been that way, especially now that I'm a mom. I really don't hang out with people, but I never was. And like, yeah, maybe I'm just like not a good friend, hence why I don't keep friends. Like maybe I'm
not Daniel Prada.
I don't reach out that much. Like that's a whole other thing. But I don't try to befriend people for that reason, especially people who make videos about me, because I just don't want it. I know people flip, and I don't want it to feel, and I get my feelings hurt too, you know what I mean? Like I befriended, you know, I guess you call them drama channels in the past, where I'm like, they're just fun, and I like them, and they're a good time, because let's be real, like drama channels, they're entertaining. A lot of the hosts are entertaining people, that's why people watch them. But, you know, I get my feelings hurt that I'm like, oh, I thought we were cool, like you came to my house, like I thought we were like kind of like you knew me, but now you're like painting this picture of me as a monster. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. So I do think Swoop is, as far as like, I don't consider her drama channels are obviously very well produced.
It is OG Trisha lore, yeah. It's like one of her biggest fans.
Like very calm. I see even when she like gets like triggered about the TV and stuff, that the victim shaming with that. You know, there's triggers people have, and you can tell when someone's been traumatized, and she does a very good job of like composing herself. And that's a whole
Daniel E. Carl.
I could have a full reaction to, and I think we will still talk on the podcast, but I think it does help me to have a producer there to kind of like rein me in, I guess, because right now my emotions are all over the place, as you can tell. But bottom line is this, you know, it took me a couple of days to like kind of like figure all this out again, because it's just a lot. And again, I'm gonna be real, like I really try to avoid stuff about me, which call it hypocritical or whatever, you know, I follow whatever, but and I also try to avoid stuff about this because I feel like I've said my piece. I feel like I've made peace. Haven't made peace with it. I feel extreme guilt and anxiety over it, which is something that's never happened. You guys know my menstrual cycles are off, and I haven't, you know, I did an HSG test before all this at the beginning of June, and last time I did that I was able to conceive right away. It's been 3 cycles now, and I have not, and my hormones are out of whack, my menstrual cycles off. So everything is very like, obviously I'm very, very like stressed and anxious, which is something that I'm really trying hard to get out of and like just keep myself busy. So I really try not to even pay attention to this stuff. However, like I am glad that it was presented to me in this way, and I'm like thankful. So like in all sincerity, and I mean this because Swoop is another one who's clear. It's like, you know, Trisha has done stuff that I don't agree with. You know, she does that disclaimer, which I totally get everyone should do. But not, I thank you truly for getting those photos taken down from Twitter. I really thought it was Johnny who took them down. As he said, he took them down because they served their purpose, was his quote. But Swoop was in her video said after 20 minutes, she had to like convince him to take it down. And in the video, Johnny was very much like, well, he refers to me as an untouchable public figure, so it was fine. He had tweeted about me this June saying, Colleen, you know, she's doing a podcast with a porn star. What did she expect? Which I'm not a porn star. I've done sex work. I still have sex work available, but I'm not a porn star. Even if I was a porn star, it really doesn't justify these things. I think porn stars are like really, they fall victim a lot to photos like this being used inappropriately, criminally. It's a really bad stigma. It's something that we get blamed for. And
all true.
It's, you know, like just hearing the almost sort of like, because he presented it as like, I was sent these unsolicited, I didn't want these, but then to hear about him like searching for these with the intent to obviously make fun of me, there's no other reason. I mean, he said I was on a watch list. Like,
and I mean, I can't even imagine how hard that is, you know, for Trisha to like, for Johnny to post these and then for Trisha to try understand that Colleen was doing this to her, but then realize that and find out that Johnny was also doing it. That's like two big hits.
The more stuff that comes out, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with myself sometimes because, again, it brings up this guilt of being a sex worker. It brings up this guilt that I was like friends and like talking to and like supporting this person who was like really a monster when it comes to this stuff. You know, I go back and forth, like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to feed into it, but it's not drama. And I think people take this like lightly, which I said before. This isn't something to take lightly. This is very serious. This is someone in a power position, like doing this to minor and just feeling like it's okay, you know, like, well, they were jokes, they were this. But even if that's how you felt at the time or still feel, like there's a very real 16-year-old girl who feels traumatized by this. Rightfully so. If you're 16, you don't know. I was 16. I didn't know. I was, you know, trying to get the attention of any celebrity any way I could. And of course now you're just like, oh, that was weird.
Hi, Oliver.
And there's no acknowledgement of that. It's like, it's just a lot. And the more I hear about this like watch list, this obsession, I'm just like, I don't know how to process it. I don't know how to process it. I don't know how to deal with the guilt of it. I don't know what to do to make it better.
I mean, one thing that's interesting to note is it was always very apparent that Trisha was a fan of Colleen. Like, she always said online that she was almost like a fan of Colleen and all these different things. So for Trisha to find out that Colleen was actually like an obsessed person with Trisha, I can't even imagine what it's like to process that. To think that there's a power dynamic because you are almost a fan of Colleen being her friend and then realizing that she was obsessed with you. How do you even
and there's very real people hurting. It's a very real situation. Part of me is like, I don't want to talk about it and keep it going. But at the same time, it's something that, you know, this shouldn't be a slap on the wrist. Everything's okay. This is a very serious thing. And you guys, I'm very anti-cancel culture, but this is not cancel culture. You know, someone making mistakes in their past or doing something silly, stupid in their past. You know, I don't think they should be canceled for the rest of their life, but this is something that's very serious, not that far in the past, a repeated pattern of behavior. So again, back to the Swoop thing, you know, thank you, Swoop, for getting those pictures taken down because
shout out Swoop.
Johnny said something along the lines of like, you know, I thought that would make her feel better or something, that it's like out there. And Swoop was like, how do you think that's helping her? It's not helping me, you know, at all. There's plenty of ways to get hold of me. Adam McIntyre sent an email to my business email, which does not go to me, but it was forwarded to me. He could verify that I replied from a different email. It was forwarded. I did not reply from that email. I don't have access to that email. Someone else checks that email for me.
True.
But there's plenty of ways to get that message to me that like I would be able to see, and the person will forward to me. Person checks my email, forwards me anything. That's obviously something like
that was true, and it was actually very quick. I got a response very quick, actually.
Like that's serious. That needs my attention. I think it was in Swoop's video, unless she was like showing a clip of someone else's video, but I think it was Swoop's video, the way she censored it, which was, you know, a big...
But Johnny was doing it for Twitter attention and likes, so he wouldn't have emailed Trisha, because how do you get attention from that?
Who, like, you know, and I try to be really strong, and you have to be, you know, doing this for so long that it's like, well, it's Trish, she's used to it, or I've seen the argument that I post these things myself, and so it's fine. It's like, one, I do this a lot, and people think it's like a weird thing that I do, but I post and delete a lot because, you know, this is my work, this is my line of work. I'm not necessarily ashamed of it. It's something I'm hopefully going to get away from in the future. So I post to promote. This is my income. This is my work. I post to promote, and it's definitely not in the light that people are sharing these photos. Like there's screenshots of me, and like it's not flattering or whatever. The ones I post are very picked, but I can post those. Anyone else can't, and I think that's another stigmatism, but that's all stigma, bad stigma. But now I can see that those photos were posted with certainty to humiliate me, to force me into talking, because he was so upset that I wasn't saying anything, that I wasn't talking, that...
And I mean, Johnny went on the record with that. He was like, well, these'll get her to talk, and it's like... Like, I was pissed that Trisha, you know, was still working with Colleen and stuff, but I was never once going to be like what he did.
It's forced me to talk. I think you mentioned it in another interview too. I don't know where I saw it, like TikTok or whatever. It was in another interview where it was like, well, she wasn't saying anything. So I'm like, this will get her to talk. So to me, that's
like, even if he wanted to post them, right? If he had posted them and then censored them better, you know, that would also change it, you know? But censoring them with the small ass emoji is not really censoring them.
It's just this whole other level of just, of course it was to humiliate me. Of course the pictures were to body shame. He was like, oh no, I didn't send the pictures to body shame. Oh, well, one time. There's no other reason to send that. The way he talks about my photos being like she was butt naked with a big grin on her face. Like, it's just, that is manipulative. That is gross. That is disgusting. That is a form of just forcing someone, of humiliating them, all of the above, and that he wasn't going to take it down without Swoop. And he even said, I respect Swoop. He's like, I respect you. So like, I think he took down. So I guess he took down all but one. So like, truly.
And still kept one up because it got him Twitter likes.
I don't
like
use the word defend, but like, I guess in this situation, like, I guess defend in this situation, you know, that Swoop has definitely done a lot more than she needed to, because I do think
abso-fucking-lutely
like a lot of other people. I think because I have like, you know, I've been around for so long, and like, you know, I have like this name or whatever, it just ties me to the story. But I don't love it. Like, there's just more people being tied to the story, including Swoop. And I felt for her too. I feel like this just becomes this like really dark tangled web, and it's just like, I think it's just like triggering and traumatizing for like a lot of people. You know, it becomes something, a lot of people are like, this is gossip, or like, who cares about this? Oh, they're being so hard. Oh, there were some missteps by Colleen. So what? It's like, this is like very, very serious and traumatizing events, like talking about anything sexual, tampons, anything like that with minors, talking about your divorce, talking about heavy adult issues with children, you know.
Oh my God, the tampon thing. I forgot about that. Her getting us to put tampons in our mouths. I never did it though, because I never wanted to buy a tampon.
Is a big issue. This is something that needs to be brought to light, because I think that, I know when we talk about this stuff, like, it becomes not okay. You know, there was a period of time when it was okay to date a 14-year-old, a 16-year-old, and Hollywood was like, that's totally fine. And now people are like, no, that's like not okay actually, and here's why. And I think it's something that needs to be talked about, especially with the age of social media influencers and the closeness people have to interacting with fans. And, you know, it's this weird dynamic. And
are you going to interview Josh on your channel? I'm not an interviewer. I'm going to leave that to the people who are qualified to do that. I just don't think I could do it justice. And I also have so much personal attachment to it that it just wouldn't even be like a good interview. You know what I mean?
Power position, ultimately, like, it just needs to be talked about more. So it's a lot to process. It's you know, there's nothing to take away from like what Colleen was doing with my photos. She, again, was the one in power. I did feel forced to talk about it then. I felt that was my way of just acknowledging it, as I do with any sort of public humiliation or shame. I acknowledge things right away. I don't know for better or worse. Some people say not to acknowledge it at all, but that's just how I handle things in situations. This video, I do not feel forced to make at all. Like, I just felt compelled to, and that I'm grateful for Swoop and that those photos were taken down, because when it's used in that way, the people who dislike me have more ammunition to embarrass and humiliate me, and those things can get twisted. And none of it is good. None of it feels good. All of it feels bad. To all the minors affected by Colleen, and the jokes, according to her, that were made, and the inappropriate conversations, like, I really am sorry. This is something that is like so awful and so disgusting, and I see it happen, not just with this situation, with other influencers who truly are like engaging and conversing with people that are underage, even if they're 17, almost 18, you know, all this stuff like that, like, that just get a pass. And I don't understand, because this is like, this is territory that's like affecting children. And I feel there's one thing everyone agrees on: prisoners in prison, you know, don't mess with children. If you mess with children, like, that's the ultimate, right? And to me, I know that 17 kind of, a magic 18, you're like automatically, I don't even believe that. I think like 18, 19 years, you're talking to a teenager when you're in your 30s, 40s, whatever. I think there's still something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you. You don't need to be, there's nothing you have in common with that person, nor is there anything you need to do with that person if they're 18, 19. So I don't think it's this magic number. It's this magic number legally, but I don't think it's this magic number. And I think if you're talking to a teenager of any capacity in this light, it's like, it's weird, and it's beyond weird. There's something dark there. So, the soup video is 4 hours long, and it's, you know, it's just a part of her series. And, you know, she said she had a lot of her own mental health struggles with this. So it's another reason I really try not to get involved too deep with stuff. On our podcast, you know, when we try to talk about stuff that's just like trending, and I also try to talk about it anything anymore. You know, I think in the past I've done gossip or drama, you know. I feel like I kind of have this like no holds barred attitude. It's like, well, public figures, that's what, you know, and I think I said that's like, it's public figure, deal with it. And I think to some extent that is true, but I try now, you know, to look at it with mom gloves, with gentle gloves, with gloves that are like, okay, so was this with now loving gloves, because I think I had so much hate for myself and bitterness towards others that I was looking at it from like a hateful place. So now I try to look at the full picture. And even if someone is like terribly, everyone can agree is like, oof, Ariana, I guess he was married with a baby, you know, I still try to like, look at it as like, well, you know, maybe they were divorced, or maybe there's, you know, I try to look at it in some sort of like rose-colored glasses to the best of my ability, because I do think everyone like makes mistakes and messes up and has their own issues and, you know, all that stuff like that. But I think this is something that's just like not forgiven, should not just go away, should not just be pushed aside as like jokes or like,
I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
You know, desperate, or I'm a loser or whatever. It's like, no, this was like, there's something wrong with you, like get help. And I mean that like out of love as well, because there's some sicknesses, and you can't hurt people with those. You have to like get yourself better. And there's hurting people, and then there's hurting children. And I think hurting children is just an absolute no-go. So there's that. And yeah, I think this is the last of my involvement. There was like a little section about me in this. So I did want to just share my gratitude for the way that it was handled, because, you know, the reason I get scared to speak out period is because then as it happens is, well, Trish did this, this, and this, or well, Trish was an awful person, or Trish did this, or she posted herself, or this, you know, so it's just a little like scary for me to talk about anything, because I know no matter what, everything else gets like, you know, dragged up again. And it's like, well, and that's always happened. Earlier this year, I made videos of, I made a video about people sharing my content on Reddit, my adult content, and not only like stealing it, body shaming it, distorting it, but yeah, like the theft, which is the reason I did a whole documentary about Reddit, because I'm like, how is this okay? Stuff being taken from the private messages that were behind a paywall, and it's also behind an age wall on OnlyFans, but also to be used to degrade and humiliate me as well, which is what I'm very clear now. That's what Johnny was doing, was to humiliate me, force me to talk about something that
I feel really bad for her. You know, she thought that it was just Colleen doing that, and then for Johnny to be exposed for, like, because Johnny's full thing was that this was so unsolicited to him, and that wasn't the... I feel really fucking bad for her.
Wasn't necessarily a part of, or didn't feel comfortable or safe talking about. I think it's one thing I'll just keep talking about, because I think it's something to raise awareness for, because again, as a sex worker, we already have a bad stigma attached to us.
You want a hug from Trisha.
People doing it when it's actually other people using our work most of the time to traumatize people. And again, like I said, not to anything to Adam, but it's like he might be like the best person in the world. I don't know, because I don't watch the content to the extent of that. But I'm sure he has.
Where are we going with this?
Maybe he doesn't even realize it, but there is some trauma, because he seems very well spoken in this video, so he's very composed. So, you know, maybe he is mature enough to like realize what has happened and processing it, and like he has a good support system, it seems, with his family. But I know for me at 35,
that's sweet. I appreciate that. I didn't know where that was going. That was scaring me.
Still realizing stuff that I've obviously never talked about publicly, but stuff from my childhood. I'm like, wow.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I am dealing with everything, and I am struggling, but I can't show that site online because it would be used against me. So, you know what I mean? Like, two things can be true at once as well. You know, I'm holding myself good online because I have to, because if I don't, my points don't get across and everyone discredits me. You know what I mean? Like, well, no. You do not want to talk about 9/11.
Oh, that actually affected me in a very severe way, and it's like this trauma that I didn't know I had. At the Dr. Drew episode, I was like, I went back and forth with like, is it trauma, is it not? Because I'm like, well, you know, at the time it was fun. I was engaged in it. Why it wasn't but then I'm like, oh, that wasn't okay. And
please never take me speaking confidently as me not being affected by anything. I know that's not the point. If I don't speak confidently, no one will listen to me.
Understand those reasons and unlearn it and try and correct my behavioral patterns, which is like not reacting so quickly. And a lot of people, and thank you, but I don't even mean it to come out, like say, oh, Trisha's very like calm and like collected. And honestly, like for me, it's not reacting right away. My issues in the past was I would react so quickly. And watching the soup video initially, I wanted to react so quickly. I was so angry for a number of reasons. I was so angry that so many people are still hurting from this.
Thank you, Moonchild.
I was so angry, obviously, about my situation. I was so angry about so many things that were brought up in there. or brought to light rather, and it was like I was crying, I was sobbing, and it's like, will me, if I sat here crying and sobbing, does that get through more to people? No, it's like,
I mean, there she is agreeing with me on that point, you know what I mean, where it's like people believe you more or less depending on how you're presenting them with the information, which is very unfortunate.
I think trying to figure out what I want to say and what's the takeaway from this is more important than just my feelings being hurt, me screaming and showing a trauma response. And I think that's why people like Soup's videos. I think she holds herself well, doesn't have a bias, doesn't have like hatred. She doesn't come from a place of hate or bitterness. And for me, I still work on that because I have a personality disorder and behavioral issues. It's something that I have to work on because I do get angry still. It's just how I deal with that anger, how I channel that, how I bring myself down from that. And it's something I worked on. It's taken years. It's been years now of me working on this, probably almost 2 years of fully putting in work. So just now going back to therapy and just trying to deal with guilt of all types has been a lot. I make these videos to like address a point, to raise awareness, but also, I am proud of the work that I put in and the positive reinforcement of people, just like responding well to it. Something I did not expect. I was very nervous putting out any video that I talk about. Like I said, of course, there's backlash, of course, but the positive reinforcements of just being able to collect myself and talk is tremendous. The reactions I get this way is way more positive than me just wanting to show how angry and upset I am and just show how much it affects me. But I think it's better to articulate these things, and I think Swoop does a great job with that. And
Swoop!
That's it. I wanna keep it fun. I want to keep it moving, but I support anyone who wants to continue to talk about this. I also know it can be very draining and very tiring. So when people kind of fall off from it as well, I respect that as well, including myself. Sometimes you just need time away because it can be a lot. You get sucked into this spiral. And hey guys, that is it here. It is now almost 9 a.m. and there is...
All right. You know what? I just want to focus on the fact as well that this is a lot for her to process, and she is a victim in this, and I am sending her my best. And processing is a different timeline for everyone, and Trisha's is only starting now. So yeah, I'm sending her my best.